Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Colin, call sign MM0OPX if you've not seen me before. And in this video, hopefully, I'm going to be showing you how to make a radial plate. Now, I have two of these already. This is made from 4mm thick aluminium and stainless steel fixings. And I actually want to make some smaller ones. So the reason that I need another two is longer term, is I want to run phased 80m verticals and also phased 40m verticals simultaneously, so I can have a little mini antenna farm, as you were, a portable antenna farm there when we can get through this lockdown. So this plate is 200 by 200 and this is 150 by 150, so about 6 inch. So you can see it's a little bit smaller. Now I don't need it to be as big as this for the smaller poles that I have. So this should be good. So these plates, they're incredibly cheap. I bought a pair of these from eBay and they were only, I think I had them delivered here for less than £8, so they're not expensive. Now I appreciate that you might not always have the tools, but I'm just making do with what I have here. I don't have my little garage workshop set up how I would like to have it. I'd like to have a bench with the vise. I do have a nice vise here, but I don't have a good bench, and I don't have the layout sorted to do that. Eventually I'll get there, but it might, some of my methods might look a little bit unorthodox, but I'll make it work and we'll get the job done. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're actually going to need to mark this out. We're going to want to know where we're actually going to be drilling these holes, and instead of laboriously marking these out in center punching them, what I've done is I've actually created a template instead. So I've made this on a piece of software called Draft Site, which is a poor man's AutoCAD. There's a number of free softwares there for hobbyists. So I'll actually put a link to this PDF on my website, and you're free to download this if you want to make your own radial plate. So obviously I think it's quite self-explanatory. The centre hole will be needs to be drilled with a hole saw, preferably. You could do it with a jigsaw, but not ideal, but preferably with a hole saw, just slightly bigger than the diameter of your pole. And these holes around the outside, you're free to make these what size you want within reason. I'm going to make these M6, so I'm going to drill them to 5mm and then they get tapped to M6. So here's one that I've cut out already. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my trusty Pritt stick. So this template will actually be sacrificial, but it makes things a lot easier. And if you're going to make a lot of the same thing, and you don't need big volumes to make big volumes, you get somebody to make them for you. It's easy just to make these up, print them out, and then you can just throw them away. So there we go, slab our Pritt stick on. And we don't need to be too perfect. Plastic sticking to it. And just centralise. Centralise as best we can. Doesn't need to be perfect. Now these plates, they should be 150, but what did they send them size? So yeah, they're pretty good actually. Just less than 150. So yeah, pretty good. So it doesn't need to be absolutely cock on, but good enough. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually drill 2 holes first, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's go and get the drill. Right, so I'm just going to drill a hole. This is actually a 4mm drill I've got in here. So I'm going to drill 2 holes first with a 4mm. Now this aluminium is actually really chewy. If you're drilling a die cast box or something, you don't get burrs like this, but this stuff is chewy. It's not the ideal drill geometry, and it's going nowhere near fast enough, but that'll do the job. Okay, so there's 2 done. And I'm actually just going to grab, I just want to take the burr off that a little bit. on this side, and you'll see why in a minute. Right, so what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to fix this to this plate, and you'll see why it's a little bit unorthodox, but there's method in the madness. I'm just looking for my box of screws here somewhere, if I can find them. There they are. Gonna get a reasonably strong screw, two of them. Help if I get my screw gun. So I'm actually just going to screw this to the plate. Okay, so that's absolutely solid. So let's go and see what we're going to do now. So here we are over at the pillar drill. Oh, by the way, that ticking you can hear in the background there, that's actually my heater. It's not actually too cold in here tonight, and that's what you can see, the power supply over here. It's driving my little diesel heater. So not the best pillar drill in the world. Bought it from a place called Aldi's here in the UK, and a lot of their stuff's quite good, but this is really quite light duty. The bandsaw next to it here, this is excellent, really recommended that, but this, not as keen on this. Now I'm going to put a pilot drill in these plates first, because if I don't, then there'll just be an absolutely huge burr on the other side of these holes, and I don't really want that. So let's put some holes in it first. So that's our pilot holes drilled. So now I'm just going to open these holes up a bit more to 4mm. Right, so that's the holes naturally drilled out to 4mm. I'm not going to drill them any bigger than that, and you'll see why in a bit. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bore this hole through the middle. So I've slowed down the drill as slow as it will go, and I've put in this hole saw. Now this is really not a good hole saw, and the drill's just really not powerful enough either, and the teeth are probably just, it's not the right geometry cutter, but it doesn't matter, we'll get there. I'm going to need a bit lubricant on this. Again, I don't have any rock oil, but this'll do. So let's bore this hole. So we've already got our pilot, so we know where we're going. We can find our hole. We are through. So there we go. So that's our hole drilled. So it's not pretty, but it's going to work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tap these holes. So I'm going to use one of these drill taps. Now these are just Amazon specials. If I'm perfectly honest with you, they're absolute junk, and I really wouldn't rate them for anything other than aluminium, or if you're maybe going to use them in steel. I don't think you get very many uses out of them. I drilled some of these nylon plates for the adjusty waves, and they're perfect, absolutely ideal, because they're very soft, but they're good enough for this. So just going to fit it to the drill. Just put it into low speed. Now I'm going to need a bit of lubricant for this, so all I've done is I've just taken some of that GT85, just put some on there. There we go. Okie dokie. I need to get some of these bars off now. If you've never seen one of these before, these are amazing. I first seen one of these when I was a 16-year-old apprentice. This is another Amazon special, but it's really quite good, and you can see there's spares that come with it. So rotary burr tool, I would call this. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to take the burrs off this. So that's a nice burr-free hole. So now I just want to remove the burrs from the tapped holes, but you've got to watch that you don't take too much off, otherwise you'll take too much of the thread out, because it's a 45-degree tool and it's only a 4mm thick plate. But it doesn't need much of a thread. You don't need much for the screws to grip. So we'll just be very careful. That's pretty decent. So that's our radial plate almost complete. Actually, where this has been sheared, you could feel that there's quite a burr there. What I'll do is I'll just take that down there. Same on that side. Again, these are a really handy tool if you're doing any sort of cutting. Okay, now we need to get some fittings in it. Right, so now we're ready to fit our Allen bolts. So these are stainless steel. These are M6 by 16, so it doesn't really matter what side you can go to. This is meant to be the finished side, so we'll screw them from the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start these by hand. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to check these by hand. Just nip them lightly. Again, let's get our washers. So, rim washers. And wing nuts, or butterfly nuts, whatever you want to call them. Don't have to fit these, but what I'll do is I'll get a radial, or I'll get a connector, and I'll show you why you should fit these. Especially if you're only using it, if you're using it full time at home, you should be okay. But if you're continually connecting and disconnecting your radials, I do recommend you use these washers. And there we have it, our finished radial plate, and it does look quite neat. I'm quite pleased with that. There's probably easier ways to make radial plates, or you could just buy them, but I wanted to make them. You know, I like to make my own things. So let's actually get a pole. I'll try the pole in it. So I'm not bringing it all the way in the video, but this is my Life's a Breeze pole. So there's the end. So let's hope it fits. Oh, it fits like a glove. I wasn't sure that the whole saw was going to do, so I thought I tried it, and it's just perfect. Job's a good one. So what I was actually saying about the connectors, I don't know if I can see it on the camera. If you just put your connector in here, so show it on this end one might be a bit easier actually. Yep. So if you don't use the washer, and you can continually connect up this, I'll show you what happens. You can see it actually starts to splay, so you're not seeing it right away, but it wears away and it starts to splay. Okay, so what you're better to do is, there's a new one, you're actually better to use the washers. Bit of a pain to get them up, and you won't splay it. Okay, so that's why I use the washers, but it's up to you. So this is so I've now got wait till I see it. So I've now got two of these, ever so slightly different, but I don't need I really don't need all the connections. This one is actually designed so I can get enough radials for 160 meters. So I'm not going to run two of these. So I've got two of these, and here's my other plate that's almost finished. So this was the guinea pig for this. So I'll get this finished too, and that will give me 4 radial plates. And as I say, that will let me run 2-phase verticals for 80 and 2-phased verticals for 40. And you know what? I'll probably actually make another one of these, and I'll probably put maybe even 2 verticals for 20. Who knows? Thanks again if you've stayed to the end of the video. If you've not subscribed, please do so, and please hit the like button. That would be very much appreciated. Now, this might be like teaching your granny how to suck eggs, as I say, but I hope I've at least inspired someone to maybe make their own radial plate, perhaps like this. Now, as I said, I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link to this in my website for the PDF, so feel free to download it as many times as you want. And just remember, when you print it out, print your first one, actual size, measure it. Should be 150 millimeters. If it's not, then just tweak the scaling on your printer properties and get it to the right size, and that should be good to go for you. I've heard some people say that you really shouldn't be mixing the two metals, but I'm not leaving this out for any length of time. Well, there's antennas out there that have, you know, aluminium plates with stainless steel in them, and they're absolutely no problem at all. If you were perhaps living in a marine environment beside salt water, you get a special grease for this. I don't quite know what it's called, but you get a special grease. You could cover all that up, and they wouldn't corrode. You wouldn't get the battery effect. Can't remember what it's called, but it's the effect that you get the two different metals. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.